I think you should be on platforms if you have the resources to maintain an ongoing presence that adds value to the audience. So if you only have enough resources to manage one platform, pick the one where you can harness the most amount of attention, because ultimately it's all about attention from your audience. Pick the platform where you can harness the most amount of attention and focus on that. If you're a large corporation, a Nike, a Coca-Cola, yes, you should be on every platform. You want to be where the eyeballs are. You're in every city. You should be in every platform where there's scale, because social media is data driven, targeted, measurable, and interactive and two-way. So it's better than any other medium from a marketing standpoint if you understand how to leverage the platforms the right way.
So you were saying the right way, which I think is was kind of built into my next question. Some businesses are just easier on certain platforms. Like if you're a lifestyle based company like we are, obviously getting on Snapchat and Instagram, everything's eye candy. You're talking about exotic cars and things like that. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's hot, right? Like it
yeah.
kind of sells itself, and it's easy to
That's right.
generate the content. But then there's content like on Twitter, much harder. Like doesn't really appeal to our audience. Should we still be on those platforms, even though it isn't directly our number one demographic, assuming we do have the resources to be on it?
Well, I mean, if going on Twitter means taking away from a strong presence on Snapchat or Instagram, where you think you have a more engaged audience, then the answer would be no. So I think every company has a finite amount of resources and effort and time, and putting together a presence on Twitter that adds value and that makes sense for the audience is a different strategy. You can't just sort of match luggage and put the same content on every single platform. Twitter is not really a visually based platform, despite the fact that they tried to make it one. Snapchat is obviously all about video. Instagram images still are a rule of the day. So you need to understand what your business is, where your audience is, and where you can capture the most attention. What we've seen happen with social media is interesting. It's almost like the chasing the cool kids, right? So first, everybody was on Facebook. Everybody, meaning the younger millennial generation, 18 and 24. Then their grandparents were on it. So then they departed to Instagram. Then their grandparents got on it. Then they departed to Snapchat. And every time that these platforms become emerging, to your point, if you're the first brand, one of the first brands that can get there and create a presence, you're going to be able to capture the attention because it's not oversaturated at that point. Also, what tends to happen with the social networks is that first you can kind of leverage them by actually not even paying and creating great content, and then over time they slowly become pay to play, where the platforms require that you need to pay in order for your brand to effectively reach consumers, and as soon as that happens, the ROI equation kind of changes.
Well, I wanted to talk about. You just keep hitting these points dead on the next kind of question that I have, which is fantastic. The ROI, which you bring up, is really important because I mean we saw this in Facebook when they went to their ads model. It was almost like murder for everyone else in terms of reaching your own audience without paying for it. It almost became impossible. So tell me a little bit about why or how. What is the point of building an audience when eventually you can buy an audience? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's kind
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
baseline? Why not just join later and just say right from the beginning, I'm going to do ads and really reach whoever I want to? Why do I need a 500K presence on Instagram?
Well, I mean, you don't know how the platforms are going to leverage their ad presence. So Instagram might not let you one day run ads to people who don't like your, channel first. That's A. B, in the early days, building your presence does provide an ROI because you can, especially in the terms of Facebook, you were able to market to that audience without paying. I would argue that on Facebook, it's actually the ROI is stronger than ever before, even though it is pay to play. Because once it became pay to play, it took out a lot of the saturation and noise. So there's not as many brands there. But if you are a brand marketer, you now have the ability to target, ferociously the right consumer at the right time with the right message. And the way that allows you to measure, you can dark post, so put up four to five posts at once, see which post actually has the best impact, and then only focus on marketing that one. So Facebook is actually, for major brands, generate a more positive understanding and predictability of ROI than any other platform. So, which is ironic that since they've actually pushed out these paid products, they've actually become more of an ROI generator.
No, I agree with that fully. I mean, we even as a brand have seen more leverage once the ad rolled out rather than before when we're trying
Yeah,
to
if you
reach
know
our
what you're
audience.
doing, if you know what you're doing,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. If you know how to use the ad network and you practice with it, I think eventually it pays off way better. But the
Yeah,
question remains this: when you look at like some of these changes ongoing, like Instagram is now rolling out their ad network, and it's fairly young, I would say, same as Facebook. But in
sure.
this case, Are people to consider that since Facebook owns Instagram, the idea of where things are headed are probably linear to what happened at Facebook?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, Facebook is a publicly traded company and they get pressures from outside investors to drive growth no matter how big they are. And the way they're going to drive growth is by deeper integration of ad products into the user experience. They're saying that if a product is for free, then you're what's being marketed, right? So in the case of Instagram, if it's for free, you're actually the one that's being sold and you're being sold to advertisers. So I think it is fair to expect. I actually saw a story yesterday that there's dramatically more ads on Instagram now this year than there was 12 months ago, because that the attention is there, and Instagram can command high rates to market to consumers. The trick is for these platforms is how to integrate ads without dampening the user experience. But Instagram is really an obsession amongst this millennial audience, and I don't see it going away anytime soon.
And how do you feel about Snapchat and Periscope? It seems that Twitter has tried hardly to kind of
Yeah.
copycat the Snapchat model to a more serious audience, a more upscale audience. Is that working for them? How do you feel that's going in terms of Periscope versus Snapchat?
I don't think Periscope and Snapchat are actually in the same category. Snapchat is largely a one-to-one medium, where Periscope is almost exclusively a one-to-many medium. So what makes Snapchat so powerful is the duality of it. For many of the millennial generation, Snapchat has become the de facto communication tool. So they're dragging out the phone icon from the bottom floor of their iPhone and dragging in Snapchat as the first way they look to communicate with their friends and peers. So that's the one-on-one sector. And now with Snapchat stories, you almost had that status update, status feed of people in the one-to-many capacities. But the fact that they have both is really driving consumers there to check it, dozens and dozens and dozens of times a day. With Periscope, it's a little bit harder because Periscopes can be on for an hour or 2 hours at a time. A lot of the content on Periscope is just unwatchable. So unless you're a celebrity and somebody like wants to watch your every move, it's really hard for people using Periscope to create really refined, neat content for people to easily digest. Because at any given moment, you could drop your phone or it could be pointing at a tree or whatever it may be. Where Snapchat, it's 15 seconds. They have editing tools on it right now. You can put a filter on it, make it nice, clean, and easy. Not that dissimilar to Instagram when you're pushing images. So that's why it's such a powerful tool. Periscope, I think we'll see how that takes off, because we already see Facebook putting live streaming products into their user experience as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It seems like live video seems to be the wave of future social. Is that fair to say?
I think for celebrities and influencers, I think the problem again with live streaming is I think 99.9% of the content's unwatchable, especially if it's from an everyday person. I think with celebrities, and people of interest, I think live streaming is really powerful because it really allows their audience to kind of look behind the curtain as to what their everyday life looks like. But I think for the majority of people, live streaming is more of a consumption tool than a creation tool. Unlike Instagram, where anybody can be an incredible photographer, or Snapchat, where anybody can be really smart with their short form video, I think Periscope, the use of it and the distribution of it is really for a select few.